Budget workshop to order Tuesday, May 27th, 7:30 a.m. We have Justin Minart, Audrey Armijo, Daniel Ivy Soto. Did you send this to everyone or? Okay.
So you can just go ahead and turn it over to Justin.
Go ahead, Justin, Audrey.
Good morning, commissioners, everyone. Glad to be here this morning. It was a little bit of a surprise, but we're here. So I guess we should have checked last week at the posting. But anyway, yeah, we do have the budget information to walk through with you all today, and happy to make any changes from the options or any others that you have that you'd like us to make. So
Okay.
And I'll share my screen here with the most recent version of the Excel that was sent out to the commission, I believe last Wednesday or Thursday. I just requested share access from IT. I think a couple of key highlights from the last budget workshop that we had a couple weeks ago. Some changes were to increase health insurance costs for the projected 20% increase, which took a substantial hit to the bottom line, and also other insurance costs for the sheriff's, the law enforcement insurance in the manager's budget, in fund department 114, the county insurance fund. We're projecting a 25% increase per discussion with New Mexico counties. So that also led to a substantial reduction or an increase in the deficit rather, from 380,000 to 514,000. So just over $100,000 increase from that line item alone. Should be seeing my screen now. All right, so just to recap, this line item did increase 25% from the prior year, and all of the group health insurance line items we just increased 20% from the prior year amounts, or just off the base expectation on the salary schedule. So those changes were also reflected in the salary schedule as well. So let me go back to the summary tab here. You know, like we went over during the last budget workshop, if you go down here to rows 35 through 39 on the summary tab, I'm going to hide some of these columns just so we can zoom in a little bit more. But if you look at the bottom line here, currently we have a net change of $2 million deficit, of which 381,000 is from non-recurring expenditures, such as the road department's request for bridges and culvert construction, and that leads to a net of 1.56 as the current general fund deficit. And so I think that's really a key area of focus potentially for the commission to consider if we want to go over line by line to potentially reduce that deficit to a more manageable level. The closer to zero, the better, but that's going to be difficult to do. So there are certain vacant positions in the salary schedule. So that's one potential consideration, is to permanently eliminate certain vacant positions, or to do across the board cuts. from operating expenditures within the various general fund departments. And of course, that's all at the commission's discretion. I think I'll open it up to any questions from the commission at this time.
I don't have any questions other than the few positions that we did request to remove, have they been, I mean,
Those changes are reflected, such as the removal of the grant writer position and indigent care were the two that I recall.
right,
I did make all the changes that you requested in your email from about a week ago.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Aye.
I don't have any further comment if we've already adjusted everything. There, Justin, you said you might have multiple other options to discuss.
Yeah, so
Whoa,
I guess I'd like to hear those. Sure.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, give me 1 second here. Okay, so let me talk through some options, and I'll, put it back to the commission at this point to let me know if any of those sound like something we want to explore during this budget workshop. So option one would be to make some minor adjustments to go through some of these general fund departments and see if there's anywhere that we want to make some minor cuts during this meeting. We can look at the trend to see if there's any, for example, unspent budget from the past, and to consider, just because it was unspent in the past doesn't mean it's not needed in the future. So we can consider those line items one by one. The second option would be to potentially do some across the board cuts to operating expenditures and potentially, like I said, vacant positions as well. So by across the board, I mean just right now it's about a 16% deficit. So picking a percent and saying we need to cut X percent to get to a manageable deficit level. That's option two. And I've run a quick allocation of the deficit to departments, just pure math, proportionately based on their current budgeted expenditures, just to have that information available to show what that might look like. Let's see. And option three that we have here is, middle of the road approach, which would be to not necessarily try to get to zero, but to pick a lower target, such as a 50% of the current deficit, or some other, similar percent, 40, 50, 60, something along those lines. So I think, there's other options too, but those are just examples of I think some common options. So I would like to hear from the commission if they would like to explore any of those three options.
Well, we ain't got much choice. Cut vector control back to last year's budget. Cut special projects by 1,000. Cut senior citizen GSAB back to last year's.
And they are.
They are.
Yeah, I thought we had changed that, but I guess it's not showing.
It shows 221,000 instead of
So it's-
182.
It's 100, and the true amount is, it was not put in properly. It's 162,000 for the Colfax Senior Centers, and then the Eagle Nest is 59,000. So that should equal to that.
So that's 221,000.
Okay. 222.
And so can you say that again, just so I can add some notes here? You said
Yep.
160
Colfax,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
Colfax County Senior Center is 162,000. Eagle Nest Senior Center is 59,000.
Thank you.
Why are they more?
Huh? There's 3 senior centers within Colfax Senior Citizen Center, and then 1 within Eagle Nest,
Oh, within them. Yeah, cause we got Springer and
Cimarron,
Cimarron
and
and
Raton.
Was that number incorrect last year then, or?
I
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so that's why.
and I guess just for the special projects, what
Yeah, I would do.
what are we going to be cutting $1,000 from?
I think there was discussion of this extra territorial zoning services during the last budget workshop.
We contractually have to pay that.
Okay.
It's my only thing. I mean, I'm not a fan of the extraterritorial zoning board, but it probably costs more to get rid of it than it would be just to continue on with it.
What, what's the 40,000 projection on animal control?
Yeah, I'd get rid of that.
Yep.
It's 5,000 for animal control and 40,000 for seniors companions.
Okay.
Yeah, senior companions is good. USDA is good. Cooperative extension, same as last year.
Yeah, keep it flat.
Yep. Subscriptions and dues are relevant. Yeah, I do. Take away animal control.
Give it terrible.
Cause I don't think anything was ever expended through that anyways this last year.
Doesn't look
Once
like
in a
it.
great while.
Yeah.
We could do a bar if we need to.
5%, 1250. What's it on here?
So there's no adjustment on that line item, but there'd be on possibly another.
Yeah, it was that was from miscellaneous appropriations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
From the top here, we have county commission. So if I may, we can just start with county commission and kind of move forward here.
Yeah. A large cut.
All legal.
Legal fees.
There were some positions I think cut too, right?
Yeah, 1.
Well, not within the commission's budget, because the commission has just been getting rid of the legal expenses.
Oh, that's right. It was manager's office.
Yeah, the manager's office had to take on that expense.
So the commission.
And I believe I also did remove para and health insurance from the county attorney's line item in the salary schedule. Can anyone confirm or disagree with me on that? Is that accurate?
What did you do, Justin?
There was a question as to whether the county attorney needed the para and group health insurance line
Okay.
items, whether he was participating.
That should be restored.
Thank you.
Believe it was on Chairman Tatum
Yeah,
that it was budgeted and he's not receiving those.
And that was probably removed. That was a mistake on my part then. On
Well,
Daniel's.
that's why I asked. Thank you.
Did you restore Justin for the county attorneys?
I'll make that change as we're talking here.
Okay,
It will add some amount there.
okay. So Justin, which column is the actual column or the
So it's
annualized? I
J
guess
is
we
the actual.
should probably look at the annualized column E.
I do want to state that on the publishing, printing and publishing, we probably do need to add some funds in there. If we do have to do any kind of, I believe we'll be repealing an ordinance within the personnel policy. We'll have to go through the same process as it is to enforce an ordinance as it is to remove an ordinance.
Give me an estimate amount.
Yeah, at least 400.
Gotta put that in the paper too.
Yeah, that does have to go in a legal paper.
Can we just put it in the paper to refer to the website instead of the
Yeah.
whole damn page
Yeah.
like before? Okay.
That probably won't happen until next fiscal year.
Yes.
One moment.
And that's why I said it could just be allocated out.
2.3.
If we cut it, we cut it.
I'd say let's just do the hard part now. Get it done. I don't like it, but we got it to do. Ms. Crump, Commissioner.
Good until we move forward.
Is that all you pay for the training usually? Where it looks like $700 proposed. But for the conferences and things like that, is that about right? Seems like it would be more, but maybe not.
It's about $350 per commissioner who goes per year.
Oh, okay.
They try to freeze you to death. You don't have to pay your motel.
It could be under the refund and reimbursement too, depending on how it's paid.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
Okay. Subscriptions and dues went up a little in our proposed. Do we need to keep it at 1,200 or? That might have come from the trend analysis. Where, you know, the trend was that it was kind of going up.
I think all the affiliate dues and that come out of that line item too.
Mhm.
Let me know if you want to go to the next tab here.
Ready?
Sure.
Quick adjustments.
Cut positions, why are salaries up?
When you put, what is that in the blue, Justin?
Oh, that's just my personal note that I increased the group health insurance by 20%.
But is it increased? It looks like it's 132.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there were
Oh, gotcha.
removed positions for
Well-
an indigent assistant.
So what, if we drop those two positions, why are full-time position salaries up?
That's because of the addition of the county attorney to the salary schedule,
Okay,
which is offset by the reduced contracted services costs.
okay, thank you.
And I don't know what the anticipated new county manager will cost. But I guess it could still be at the 110 for now.
yeah. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it was punched in there at 150.
No, but it's budgeted.
125 on the current salary schedule
Okay.
as a projected amount.
I'll be a
I think that's fair.
I don't.
What's that?
I said, I don't.
Well, it gives us wiggle room within that.
That could always be barred.
Telephone is high.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I don't know if there's opportunity to potentially reduce that cost.
There must be something bundled into it,
Yeah, it could include
or we're paying.
other similar utility costs like cell phones and such.
There's no way the county manager budget for phones is, are we expending that much?
That's the contract for everything, the whole,
That's for everybody?
that's everybody, yeah.
Okay.
But that's still high. I think it could be dropped probably to 560.
What do you want us to drop it to?
Say 76.
That's what it's at.
Pull up the current GLs to see if it's on target with that amount, but I think it's a monthly bill, so it should be pretty rateable.
Audrey and Justin, what is the percentage of our operating expenses that take up this general fund that we're working on over now compared to salaries?
So it's around 70% salary expenditure.
Okay.
And I can
Thank
get
you.
a more exact number if you.
No, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
We are at 75,000 currently, through today in the telephone line item. It does look like it also includes probably, includes CenturyLink, so some internet costs as well, just to help explain why it's so high.
I have no further questions on this.
Not on this one.
You, maintenance,
Or is Chairman and Commissioner Kern okay to move forward?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I hate to see that we're cutting maintenance of buildings and structures. Or no, it's going up though.
No, I meant the proposed is.
we can see where we're at today in that line item, so it is a projection.
38.
I mean, we just have enough issues that we're not fixing.
Mainly going up in utilities.
And he pays the utilities for the whole county, but I could see them. I could see him being the 277.
Mhm.
The actual right now is at 51,500. And so it's coming in below this annualized amount.
But I put it at that amount, 60. I don't know if the commissioners are fine with that.
Reduce it to 60.
Well, no, 68,
65.
65, that works. Okay,
Maintenance vehicle.
Professional services. Check the current amount on that just to see where we're landing.
I probably think that's gonna be fine just because there's a lot that maintenance is not able to do.
Right, so it's already slightly deferred,
Yeah,
and it is 149,000 currently. That's roughly accurate.
I would leave it alone because if we look at contracting snow removal or yard maintenance or that, I think it needs to have that option.
The expense was too. Expense was too high on it.
you need to, speaking to them.
Should, I think, and the cost was too high on contracting it for the one that
When I asked Fred to go out for
responded.
the snow removal and yard maintenance, the contract came in at 70,000 for the year.
How's that compared to the prior year?
We never had any. We were trying to figure a way to free up maintenance or help.
Well, a lot of our service contracts come out of that, so that's probably a pretty accurate number.
Yeah.
Because you have
Mhm.
elevator and HVACs and all of those contracts are on that line item.
Yeah.
I have no further questions on this, Chairman.
Yeah, I don't either.
Moving to clerks. So on this tab, we have the clerk recording. And then below that, we have Bureau of Elections, and then the recording and filing fund. So 3 different departments here. I believe the highlights represent somewhat recent changes, but they would have been, I believe, reflected on the previous draft that you guys had.
This is the same, if this is the same draft, I sent this out Thursday to everyone. To all department heads.
And I did hear some great comments and ideas from the clerk's office. I talked to Rieta. Justin, did you get any other feedback after Thursday?
I haven't made changes since the Thursday draft.
Okay, but I mean, any other feedback from the departments?
No.
Okay, just double checking. I think that we've covered all of the requests and ideas and feedback from the departments.
Do you have anything, Sarah?
So Justin, you did put in the revenue to offset the expenses for the election, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What are these yellow highlights, Justin, that you have here? Did you want to ask if they want them at that level?
No, I think those are just the recent changes reflected, that were requested rather by the clerk to be made.
Okay.
So we did make those.
I have nothing further on the clerks.
How many positions is it showing right now? Or I guess my question is that one deputy clerk that's not going to be filled, is that still showing in here?
It is currently showing in the amount, but it, like you said, it is a vacant position.
Okay.
Go ahead and cut it. We're gonna have to get serious about this or go home.
No.
That's that'll achieve a $64,600 reduction.
Okay.
Change really quick if you
Yeah, we'll give you a second, Justin, just to make that live change so that on the summary sheet we can see the deficit go down.
Anything else y'all think we can work on?
that's done. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna take notes as well, on the changes that we're making here. One more second.
Rheta, do you have any comments as to what maybe else we could look at? Justin, can you scroll down to the election a little bit?
Yes. So it's right here.
We can drop the mileage back to 2,000 in the election. And the per diem.
Thank you.
You feel comfortable with that per diem? I said, do you feel comfortable with that per diem? Cause yeah, it is, and I was just looking back to the odd year. And it- Okay.
Reimbursement, and then,
It's like 500.
$500.
Justin, take the supplies down to 4,000.
Um,
Can you scroll back up, Justin, to the clerks?
But why the big, just asking a question, why the big difference in IT and service and supplies? Okay, thank you.
You, just for, I didn't hear that. Can you relay that to me, please?
Said that the cost of the recording software has gone up.
Thank you. I think similarly, can we perhaps take these down to 1,000?
No, no,
No, okay.
no, no.
Girl.
Wait, scroll back up.
It went away. It's, oh,
Posted by how much?
$1,000.
You can drop the postage to 1,000. And take the training down to 2.
Where's that put us on, Justin?
Overall,
For the clerk's office.
for the clerk, well, right now we're at 90%. The biggest reduction was from removing the position. But that's a 10% reduction, which is pretty good change.
Good. Okay.
This is mostly down due to a grant that dropped off, but it's also down about 10% for the elections. That's mostly just due to seasonality. Okay, I'm gonna move on to assessors, if that's fine with everybody.
Yes, sir. Is that fine with you, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay.
Come up if you would.
Or either that or take the mic, whichever.
Either one.
Get ready to say, I was gonna. Did you have anything further? We move to the assessors. Okay,
Good, thank you.
yes, sir.
We can take the vehicle maintenance on our general fund from 2,000 to 1,500. And then we can take the printing, publishing from 8,500 to 5,000. But everything else, I need to stay the same, and then my 1% needs to stay the same.
On the next tab.
Oh, I moved.
Well, equipment maintenance, what type of equipment is that typically going towards? Doesn't look like it's been used in the last couple of years, but perhaps there's some equipment that might need maintenance.
These equipment, yes.
Lease equipment. And the supplies and the inventory line item, is there any opportunity to reduce those? Based on the prior years, it looks like there may be opportunity for that.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
I would like to state that at this point, I mean, I appreciate all the department heads coming in here and seeing where they could cut. This is our opportunity to cut on the 30%. So where you could cut on this will save jobs. If you're not able to cut, what my recommendation is going to be to the commission is after we reduce this, this is our 30% working operation. Then we're going to have to turn to the 70%, which is the employees. So I just wanted to make that stated across the board. Thank you.
I mean, it's currently pretty well every department, so.
So let's go ahead and take supplies to 4,000. And what was the other one you said, Justin?
Inventory has not been used in the last 3 years.
Okay, so make it 1,000. Let's see. I mean, we cut our per diem from, let's see, 5,000 to 1,000. Let's go ahead and do the maintenance vehicle to 1,000.
It was 500. Is that what I just saw?
Yeah,
1,500.
Oh,
50.
1,500.
Yeah,
that's what it's fine too.
Question, Christie, you only have the one vehicle, correct? Or two?
we have 3.
Three? Okay, never mind.
Louis. They have two.
Then you'll probably purchase one.
Yes.
You'll probably purchase one through your 1%.
Mhm. That's all I can see.
And I'm gonna just jump to the 1% fund as well here.
Could the vehicle maintenance be transferred from the general over to the 1%? Makes sense.
I guess as a vehicle used outside of valuations.
We could.
Saying you want to reduce this to 0 and add it to
The 1%.
here.
Yes. Commissioner Trujillo, are each of the departments buying their own supplies, or are we doing a central supply purchase through the manager's office?
I believe they're all purchasing.
buying.
their own.
And it was kind of a pain, but before we were doing like
Yeah.
central supply purchasing of paper and all of that through the manager's office, and we buy it in bulk.
Yeah,
So we're saving quite a bit doing that.
that is something we could explore, but I'd like to see how it will play out. Cause I'm not sure what the overall savings would be, if it'd be 10,000 a year, maybe. But with what I perceive is we'll probably have to cut another, or a position, at least from the manager's office again, so we've cut a few already through this year.
Hey, Justin, can you see where we are at on IT services and supplies in the GL to date?
Pulling that up right now, actually.
We're thinking alike.
So you guys worked together for a while.
Yes.
Maybe
Currently at 81,300. So it's pretty much the same amount.
So it may not need to be the 95.
Potentially, let me see if there's recurring billing. And there hasn't been any cost charge since March 31st.
Because if you look at the prior
Tyler
2 years,
Technologies.
just Tyler. If you look at the prior 2 years, it's the 64 and 66. And then it made a jump here in 25.
Yeah, I think it looks like it should be monthly billing. It's for the the assessor's mapping software. I think it's going through Tyler Technologies. Looks like it's been billed through. Yeah, it's been prepaid. So I think that is the full amount for the year. They pay their annual
The
amount
81.
in March.
So we could probably drop it to 80 to that number, right?
Right.
5% every year. 5% every
Yeah,
The assessor said 5% every year increase.
about that amount.
There we go. Justin, can you put us a little note that there's a 5% increase each year? Like, and it's like, let us know that it's an annual increase. So that we know for next time.
Yeah. That's about a 4% decrease. And perhaps supplies and inventory could be shaved a little bit. It's already been shaved a little bit, but perhaps more.
Well, it looks like there was 0 in the current year and 24. So 24, 25 is 0. But in 23, there was 3,000 and 4,000.
I'd like to just match the 3 and the 4, so just reduce this by 1,000. That's
Do we have the assessor? Sorry, we can't hear the audience.
The supplies they want to take to 3,000, is that correct?
Yes. So yes, Justin, drop that to 3 and inventory to 4.
Inventory that.
Right.
I Don't see any other, well, per diem is at 6,700. And it hasn't been used, in the last few years.
I need that to stay.
But you
I
haven't
need that
used-
to stay because I have a lot of training coming up.
Justin, I have a question. What's the 1%? Cause I see right now, we're budgeted at 275.
Yes.
We spent 214. We're allocating what, 50 extra thousand, so that's an extra 10,000 in there. I guess what has been the average spend on the property valuation fund compared to what needs to go into it?
Well, the average over the last 3 years is 180,000, and we're budgeting 225.
Okay, and what,
I think the comment is that there's probably been some deferred training over the last couple of years, and that the assessor would like to hold that training, and that's why we have budgeted more per diem and training than what has been spent in the past.
Did somebody calculate out like the number of days and people to get to that 6,700?
there's what, 3 people within the property valuation fund?
I don't know how many days of training they're gonna have.
That includes me too, because I'm part of an appraiser.
So that's you.
And Joe.
And Joe.
Joe.
So there's 5 of you, but you're all at level 3 currently. So
Yes.
what trainings need to be,
So they're going in July to appraisal class, and they will be staying in a motel and paying for their classes, gas. Then I think they have one more coming up too.
But my question, I guess, Christie, is once you get to level 3, there's not a level 4, is there?
Oh, yeah,
There's a,
level 4,
what's the maximum level?
level 4.
Level 4? So those 3 people will be pursuing level 4,
Yes,
because you and Joe are already there.
we are already certified. And I know that in the salary schedule, they had Alyssa at $16 an hour. She's not, she's at 15. So that might need to be corrected.
I did look into that and confirm that she's been paid at the 16 since July of 2023. So I believe that
Wow.
no changes needed.
Okay, thank you.
So Christy, are you happy with your property valuation fund?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Thank you.
Go back to the total on the assessors, please. 49.
49, of which 743 is non-recurring, or recurring. rather. So we're pretty even with the prior year on that overall.
Okay. Commissioner Kern,
That's it for now.
okay. I will warn y'all at the current rate we're going, there will be employees laid off. There is no alternative. So basically there's another 100,000 has to come out of the assessor's office. I don't want to blindside anybody. I don't like what I'm looking at, and this is the least. This is something I never. But you've been warned. Move on to the next. I'm sorry.
Treasurers.
Come over here so I can see it.
Yep.
Treasurers does not have a lot of operating expenditures to speak of.
The increase is coming mainly from the health insurance. Is that what you're seeing too, Justin?
Yes.
Geez, 20%. Are they talking at all about what to do about that at the state level? Maybe Daniel knows. But these insurance increases are just outrageous. They're killing the local governments.
It's out of control.
They chose not to force us to pay everything else and picked up that expense is pretty much what they did from prior years. And this historically on the treasurer's office, it's always run the most lean, I'd say, within the departments.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't see many opportunities for cutting the operating expenditures here.
The one I would say we could do is like the mileage and per diem and employee training. We've already been kind of not going to any classes just to try to save money. And so we can just continue not, I'm through the affiliate, I get a lot of emails with a lot of the information that they cover there anyway and stuff. And they also offer like scholarship opportunities for going to those conferences. So we could always try to go to one using that, maybe.
I ideally would like to have that in there. You being as a newly elected official.
Yeah.
I think it's good for you to at least attend one a year. That's my opinion.
I agree. I'm just trying to think of, like maybe like 500 out or something. Cause I think that scholarship is up to 500.
So on the employee training, you're thinking take it to 500?
Yes.
Okay. And then what about mileage and per diem? What do those look like for you?
We could probably go to 5 on those also, I think. Like they said, I could go to at least one conference a year on that,
Yeah. So Justin, if you want to change those two, helps a little.
And I think the difficult question here, Treasurer, there is a vacant position in the treasurer's office. Would the treasurer's office be able to function without that position?
We actually filled that position
It is, Bill.
last month,
Thank you.
or the start of this month, I guess.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Me either. Thank you.
Moving on to sheriffs. So these next couple, sheriffs and BMDC, do make up a substantial portion of the general fund budget, about 50% between the two. So I'd closely consider these, although I know that's not an area that many people would want to cut from. Scroll down to operating expenditures here. I think the sheriff's office has already been, has it already kind of poured over their budget and reduced certain areas, and I thank them for that. We're currently at 98% of 97.5% of previous year, even with the increases to health insurance costs.
Sheriff, did you not get capital outlay for vehicles on there?
I know we were awarded, but I don't see it in there. We were awarded 240,000 this year. And another 160 to replace body armor and firearms.
Thank you.
So those will have a net zero impact. We'll get those in. If you want to forward those to me before the end of the day, I can get those into the interim budget.
Okay. I am waiting for a response back from DFA regarding the use of LAPF to maybe cover our portion of the dispatch contract, but I have not got a response back yet.
Thank you.
That might have to go into the final budget.
Correct.
You currently have 2 open positions trying to fill, correct?
Yes, sir. One has actually been sent off for the psychological evaluation, so that's scheduled by the end of the month.
Okay, thank you. Those 2 are still budgeted in, correct, Justin?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Where's the overtime on there?
150 on.
Do you see that?
We have overtime at 100 and, well, it was 115 in the prior year, but we have budgeted for 65.
Sheriff,
15 included a bar that was done during the current fiscal year. So I think it was started at 65 and was barred up to 115.
Sheriff, do you think that it will honestly be enough if we are unable to fill these positions or the current turnover we have? You probably will have to increase overtime, you think?
Probably, depending on the events or whatever happens, it's hard to
Fire,
say.
rain, fire.
fires, floods.
I guess we could get there when we get there on that.
Yes, sir.
What did you say you got on vehicles? 240,
240,000, sir.
and the other one?
160,000 to replace body armor and outdated firearms.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you for your efforts to
Yeah,
reach out and get that appropriation so that it doesn't come out of the fund.
I mean,
do you have any further on the sheriff, Commissioner Kern?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Thank you.
Are you through with the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next.
Okay, next is VMDC. And just to recap, VMDC has 2 funds. There's also corrections fund later in the tabs here. This is general, that's special revenue. And I will comment that VMDC has, I believe it's 34 positions in total, and 8 of them are currently vacant.
We have 33,
33, thank you.
and that is, well, it's actually 9, because it's 8 officers, 1 sergeant.
One what?
One sergeant.
And Warden, is there any opportunity for a permanent reduction in those open positions, taking into consideration, the need to staff? And I don't know if there's any, statutory requirements for staffing levels for prisoners. So, with those fully considered.
No, that's for.
Cut, for example, a couple of those positions.
That's kind of hard to say. I'm in the works for trying to do something, but the more we cut, the more overtime we're gonna have. Even if I went to the minimum, that puts, which is fine. The 3 administrator folks working the line. I just don't see, at this time, no.
Right.
Unless something is approved or not approved, then we can look at it later. Because you've got the overtime as well.
And for the overtime aspect, is it possible to offer comp time instead of overtime?
Not if I don't have the positions to make that comp time happen. That would be something we'd have to go through with the commission. I don't know how that works. I'm okay with comp time. I just don't know how that works when it comes to employment status, and if they work overtime, they should be paid overtime. That would be something we could look into. We could probably, and unfortunately with the overtime, the overtime pay with people working isn't the problem. For me, it's with the staff that I have. Is the training I have to do. I have to do 40 hours of training for every staff member I have in my building. And then you've got holidays, which also includes time and a half when they work the holiday. So the majority of that overtime, I'd say about 112,000 is automatic overtime. It's not something I can take away. So the majority of my overtime, hopefully I don't go over, it's usually around 26 to 30,000 a year. That doesn't include, just straight. It's gonna automatically happen over time.
Yeah, that's helpful.
And I'm not sure why IT services is so high. What do we have under that line item that it's so high?
I believe that was security.
I'm sorry.
I'm pulling it up now, but I believe it was the like alarm system, security expenditures.
It is in line with prior years.
Yeah.
I mean, you underspent in 24, but
Well, I had to get a new computer. I think it was in 23,
yeah.
24. I don't remember what it was. Let's see. I don't foresee,
But you have to print and publish.
yeah.
Is an IntelliChoice offering to you guys?
Gotcha. Yeah, we're good.
What is that? What is that for? Just out of
That's
curiosity.
for my system for my walkthroughs and recording what my staff members do during the day. I don't foresee, other than the training we do in-house, we could probably cut the employee training. I don't foresee we having to, because we did a lot of training this year for the OC and stuff, so we could probably cut that. Let's cut it to 500. I just don't foresee us doing much training.
I'm just trying to
Other
check
than
real
it,
quick if there's training expenditures and corrections. There's not.
yeah, we cut that. I think last year it was cut. Inventory, I don't foresee us.
Yeah, there's a supply and inventory line item here.
I don't foresee us having to spend anything major on inventory this year.
Good on radios and
We're good on radios,
Good on all that.
batteries. Yes, ma'am.
Toilets.
I'd probably maybe 1,000 to just be on the safe side. We're not going into the conventions this year, so I don't think we need any of that. And if we have to do any
And per
transport,
diem
yeah,
to maybe 500 just to allow for a little bit.
I just don't foresee us. I wasn't planning on going to the convention this year. None of us were going this year, so I don't foresee we need to put anything in that line item this year. Because we can't afford it, so. Kind of hard on this one as well as, I mean, I could probably cut a little more out of the corrections fund than I can be the
Yeah, we can take I can pull
EMDC.
that up here.
So you're just looking at these line items, we could probably, and it might reflect later, because at this point, we just don't know how much pretrial services is gonna take over and what they're going to, how many folks they're gonna take for the out of county is what I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm looking at inmate offsite housing. We could probably take 50 off of that. It might be even less. I mean, even more that won't even be charged to us, depending on how many they take out of the facility. But we gotta remember, the more I take out of that line item, the more it's gonna cost in-house. So your food's gonna go up, all those things make a difference. Took out of inventory, clothing allowance we took out.
And something to consider
That-
between now and just the final budget part, probably not today, but the opioid use funds. I mean, that'd be a one-time expense, but we have some funds there between the sheriffs and the BMDC.
Yeah, so if any of these costs can be transferred to that, that's a good point. There's a lot of money available.
And then, I don't. Where are you at? We can take, let's take down safety equipment to 1,000. And then I wanted to ask you on the BMDC one or the salaries. Have we received anything for the corrections recruitment fund? Which is paid for?
There was 300,000 received in the current year. Is that amount going to recur in FY26?
I don't know about the amount. We'll get 75% because they're taking away the third year and combining the second and the third year together. So it'll be 75, they'll pay 75% of salaries for 4 officers.
I think that's not currently been included in the revenues. So maybe while we're talking about the remainder of the funds here, if you can give me a number where you think that'll be. Is there a maximum grant amount on that?
I just get 75%. So it would be our general salary of whatever they make a year, 30, 35, 38, I think it is. Times 4. 38, yeah, times 4. And then the benefits get paid for as well.
All right, so
I would just do the 100%, Justin, just leave it at the 100%. Just because the issues that we're having anyways with employees. Is that right?
Could we not look at,
So here, so I had it at 150,000 for at 50%. So I think that number needs to be confirmed.
I can send you, they shoot the email over to you. It's gonna be 75% because they're combining both years. 2 and 3.
Commissioner Kern, did you have comment there?
not particularly on that one, but I was backing up to the opioid thing. I think we could take the nurse's salary out of the opioid fund.
And currently, like right now, it's just PRN.
Mhm.
So that she's not full-time at the moment. But I
Had
look
any
into that.
more applicants?
I'm sorry.
Have you had any more applicants?
I've had one applicant, but that applicant was an LPN and it has to be an RN.
Okay,
I guess my only concern is I want to make sure that meets the qualification for that grant money.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
I say we leave it as is, but if between this and final budget, if we're able to move that opioid funds into that RN, I think that's a good choice. At least it'll give a breather room for a year or two. Warden, are we on corrections or BMDC for you?
I'm sorry,
Which tab are we on now?
Now we're
correction.
on, I went back to corrections.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already 10% down in recurring expenditures from the prior year, so. It's
And I
probably a good start. Go
And I
ahead.
really, sorry, Justin, I really can't cut when it's based on the food or the hygiene or anything like that, because
Right.
it depends. I'm just not at a set 50 people and know what's going on. So it depends on how many we have, the rise in the products, and, you know, I gotta be careful. They gotta be taken care of, or it's gonna cost us a lot more, you know, than what I'm asking for, so.
Well, that's one that probably has to be monitored closely throughout the year to see kind of how it's tracking, just because there's a lot of fluctuation, as you say.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions on corrections or BMDC.
Commissioner Kern.
No further questions?
I want to verify how many employees do you have currently, staff?
Currently, I have 24. That's everybody. Now, if you're talking about just officers, I have 15.
15 officers. Okay, how many openings do you have?
I apologize.
I'm sorry, how many openings do you currently have?
9.
9. Okay.
You're anticipated to lose 2, right?
Anticipated to lose 2 more
Oh, man.
Officers.
to the prison.
Yes, 2 officers.
Okay, on here I have 2 lists, but I don't have Mr. Barella, is he an officer? Paul Barella or
Yes.
Mr. Barella?
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
let's refrain from using names.
Oh,
I did email you a updated,
okay,
just earlier this morning from the warden of who her
Okay.
employees are.
all right, good deal. I had 3, I couldn't cross it. All right, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're now on, we already talked about this one, senior citizens.
Can I new one in?
During the meeting.
Oh, during the meeting, okay.
Any further discussion on the senior citizens amount?
I do not have any.
Not at the moment.
Commissioner Kern, nothing further?
No, nothing there. No.
Probate tab?
I think
There's nothing that you
there's
like.
nothing there.
All right, moving on, another small one, vector control.
And so for the commission, I am requesting that we increase during our meeting our revenue or our what we bill out to these municipalities, yes, our charge. So we will see a slight increase. But be honest with that, I would just leave this as is. Because any other cost would probably just go back to the cost of material and break even. When I talked with Justin, I think I wanted to put that at 8,000. That's the max of the contract that we have that for the position we're going out for that term. So I believe that's all. Commissioners, anything further?
No.
Okay. All right, Justin.
Just won't speak there, but okay. Next is emergency management.
Yeah, so I can drop postage, I can drop subscription, Inventory down to 10,000.
Inventory down to 10,000.
Yeah,
You said just remove.
just drop those. And as far as the vehicle, we can kick the can on that, and I can continue using the Miami truck for another year. If that helps and saves someone's job.
I'd say thank you, but I'd say at this time, no. It wouldn't make a factor in saving someone's job because this would be a one-time expense.
Okay, well, at least if it helps, drop that down to 60,000. I can get a vehicle for under that.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Is that fitted with a camper and stuff like that, like you would need?
I can outfit it myself. I have some spare stuff and probably strip some stuff off the old emergency management vehicle.
Thank you, Tom. I don't have anything further, commissioners.
And I will say, so that 10,000 that you added on, wasn't that proposed to be just a new line item under the wildfire suppression?
So when I requested that, they didn't want to put it under a line item. They were splitting it up amongst, what was it, Justin? I don't recall.
So on this line item, we've offset it with increase in general fund revenue expenditures. I can see what line item I added the revenue to, but it's essentially a net zero impact.
Mm. Yeah, because that's just money in, money out coming from the feds when I go on these fires.
Yeah, but that's to help with your reimbursement, so you're not waiting 90 days to.
Mm-hmm.
So I did include it in just a reimbursement refund general line item for the general fund.
All right, so on my side then, it would probably best be reflected under per diem instead of supplies.
Okay. All of it, or should I allocate it to a
the
couple of different
10,000.
line items?
So yeah, it would go up to 15,000 on you got that on fuel, I think. Yeah, switch fuel and per diem there. I think you got different ones. There you go.
There we go.
And then the 3,500 on supplies. In fact, make supplies 3,000.
Okay, there we go. I think we're good now. Any other comments on emergency management?
I have nothing further.
I have nothing further.
Nothing.
Great. And now we're on the road department. It's probably one of the last big ones. This does have, some revenue coming into it. This is actually a special revenue fund, but we can take a look at it. It is subsidized largely by the general fund, so it does impact the general fund. Prior year subsidy is 1.2 million, and right now we're at just under 1.1, of which 250,000, 260,000 is non-recurring.
And to the commission, I asked Glenn to be here, but he's not able to this morning. But Heidi is available if you have any questions. If not, we'll make the changes.
Justin, did you budget the fringe benefits on those for the vehicles?
Yeah, personal vehicle use benefit, $12,000.
Thank you.
I guess the question is how many, it comes down to well, let me look at the operating expenses first.
Like, maintenance equipment was dropped due to the increase in leased equipment.
Yeah, and maybe that's something to consider as we have 5 leases coming up, Heidi? Maybe we just do 4. I don't know if we could get by with that.
Is it all road graders?
Yeah.
Awful big county for only 4 machines, but if
No,
they're
there's-
just sitting there and nobody's riding in them.
Yeah, but Heidi, that's not, we have how many blades though? Isn't there 7 blades? So if we drop it, we'd have 6 blades. Drop 1, we'd have 6.
We only got. How many blade men do we have working right now?
Right now, five.
How many are we down?
We need to fill 4 positions. We have 1 applicant.
Say drop a lease.
Yep.
So Justin, I'll just get that number divided by 7 to get the average cost of 1 for planning purposes. Subtract that total.
Dropped by 43,000.
Is there any thoughts on doing away with the position at the roads?
Is the
I
one
hate
that
to.
we never filled, is it still on there?
Yeah.
And potentially, and I'm just gonna float this here, but putting some of that savings into increased salaries.
That's a very valid point because I think we need to look at that essentially afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to do anything with salaries as of now because it's not, I don't know.
Justin, were you gonna decrease the 301?
Yeah, I'm checking the actuals right now. So excuse me just a minute on that.
No, it's fine.
It's actually at 446,000.
Actual right now for 25?
Yes.
That's not showing up here. We're at 251.
This is a little outdated, unfortunately, so. Need to see what went on there.
We did have some employees leave. I don't know if that has anything to do with probably payout of, well, no, that comes out of commission.
It's like it's almost all coming from John Deere financing as the vendor. So it's the leasing costs.
So Justin, are you saying they spent 200 grand just in April and May?
I'm seeing, let me check the numbers, but I think that might have been barred here recently, so I think this number was.
Oh, I am recalling John Deere, something about John Deere.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that where we agreed to purchase that 1 backhoe that it ended up in the wrong line item?
It's a possibility, that was included in one of the invoices that went into here. That would
Does
have to be
Rhodes-
investigated.
Does Rhodes know what happened there?
No, I'm not sure.
I'd have to double check.
Leroy,
Yes, ma'am.
do you recall how it jumped from 251 as of the end of March to about 450?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Like there was something with John Deere.
I believe the backhoe came out of the line item for the specific line item, but I don't think it came out of the roads, but I could double check.
Okay.
Leroy, could you check on that now? And that way we can give them direction to, thank you.
We will have a delay on our regular meeting as we are going to wrap up this budget hearing.
So I'm just running a report real quick, just because that's a significant amount.
We're gonna take just a 5-minute break.
That's good.
Justin, go ahead and delete the one position we've had frozen that was budgeted back in.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll have you wait to repeat that till the Madam Clerk returns.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Oh, you're good. Okay.
Just so I can run the math, which position are you referring to?
The one we've had,
Just delete one roads position.
delete one, just, yeah. Delete benefits all on one.
So that equipment operator. There's one that I see open here. So that would be a savings of 57,600.
Okay. What's our bottom come to?
Make that adjustment.
Madam Clerk, I apologize. I cut one employee from those you took off.
Audrey? Just so the commission.
Go ahead.
The backhoe was purchased out of capital outlay for road department equipment, 218-0472.
Can you repeat the last 5 digits?
The string is 218-0472-01-480-48094.
Or 094. Is that correct?
It's out of a capital outlay fund.
Yes, ma'am.
And so no, not the road fund. Thank you.
Excuse me, I verified with Glenn and we are currently leasing 6 blades.
And I apologize. I think the reason the number I said earlier was so high is because just the way Triadic works, it includes the budget journal in the total. So the actual amount. At around 300,000 currently in actuals for the equipment lease.
That's
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Do some quick math.
and I would expect when we renew this lease, the costs will probably be higher.
Yeah. So the original number, Audrey, was just for 6, not 7?
No, that was for 7 lease.
Well,
No, she just said,
Heidi just said that they only have 6.
6 graders.
Correct.
yeah,
I double checked with Glenn.
yeah. So the price will be the same. We'd have to,
Are we entertaining reducing from 6 to 5 or no?
That puts two per district for commissioner at 6.
yeah, I only have one.
No, the valley only has 1
And then the other one,
and the rest are.
Yeah.
My district has 3.
yep. She has,
And I have 70% of the roads
yeah, I was gonna say, you have all the roads and bridges
and bridges.
and headaches.
I guess questions to you, Commissioner Kern.
Well, I think with the adjustment, we leave it for now.
Okay.
Yeah,
For now.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
anything further?
No, sir.
I did just make the adjustment for the eliminated position. So that is now reflected.
And Justin, we're still showing the 106.
Yeah, and
Even
a lot
with
of
that
is
change.
the non-recurring amount here, so it would be a 12% reduction if not for that.
Okay.
So moving forward here,
Look at fire, yeah.
you can look at fire, and I'll just make a quick note. There's, I think, 3 of the individual fire funds which are budgeting a reduction in cash. I did not go in myself and kind of fix those. Just because during the fire council meeting, they asserted the fact that the county has a fiscal agent role overseeing them and that they're in charge of their own budgets, and really that the commission's role here is kind of perfunctory in nature in approving the budget. Commissioner Tatum, if you have anything to add to that, or I'm kind of paraphrasing what they said during that.
Good. Close enough. It's state allocation each year, doesn't come out of,
Pretty much in and out, so there's really nothing we can do.
doesn't come out of county funds. It's an in and out. So no, sir.
What about
You, huh?
the fire marshal came in earlier and talked about if we could use any of his fire marshal suppression
Okay,
on the, and I don't know that question. It's current balance is it is 186,000. I don't know if that could be used to probably offset some of the more of his expense.
yeah, it depends on where the funds came from, I believe, where
I think these
we
are
take
funds.
off.
Mr. Sandoval, are you out there? Nate? I believe that they said they were from going to fires.
Yeah, there's restriction on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, then that was just a comment.
Well, it's not to say some of that couldn't be
It depends,
line item transferred, but
yeah.
Okay.
those funds are restricted.
Well, we could figure, oh, there he is.
There he is. Dun, dun, dun. The funds you're talking,
The funds that I had come in to mention are out of my wildland suppression. I know the state funds that we receive are not allowed to be touched whatsoever by the county. That's just for state fire suppression. But that's the wildfire suppression fund comes from sending out trucks, getting paid for it, gets deposited into our accounts and then used accordingly for wildland suppression. That is outside of our state fire fund. So I don't know if this year as a one time I can just roll that into my budget so you guys could utilize to see fit, because I think I still have enough coming in with state fire funds to operate accordingly for the next fiscal year.
okay, so this is the federal reimbursement funds.
That would be reimbursements from the state forestry.
Okay, and
And I don't know if that's at all possible to do, but I think it's something we can look into.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
And everyone that attended was reimbursed and all that.
What's that?
Everyone that fought the fires and everything.
Yeah.
Reimbursed.
Yes, all the payments have gone out to all employees.
Okay.
That's just money that was made on the vehicles themselves.
Okay. And did it belong to certain fire departments or?
No, they're actually equipment that's under me.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Right, that puts a different twist on it.
Commissioner Kern, any?
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, that's just an option out there.
Yeah, I'd
I
say
think we
let's,
could look at it for the final, but
That's fine.
it's nothing to worry about right now.
Thank you.
Just real quick, Justin, the math wanted to double check that their income equals their expense or their revenue is higher than their expense, one of the two.
To my comment earlier, the answer is no on that. I can give you a grand total. Right now, there is 318,000 more expenditures than revenue. However, they do have pretty good cash balances, which are required to be spent within a certain time frame. So I think that is reasonable.
That's just fire alone.
That's just fire. All the fire funds combined, including the wildfire and fire suppression. We're looking down here at 317. And it was really just three of the so you see Farley is 92,000 of that. Small amount from Utes. They actually have an extra.
That's on
from Philmont.
do what?
That's on each fire department to manage their own budget though.
Yes, sir.
So.
Yeah, and
So all of them have more than sufficient cash balance for the deficits.
Okay. Okay.
Just so they know, and I'm sure they do, that their revenue, or they're eating into their cash, they're eating into their fund balance. And I know that that's somewhat intentional, so.
yeah, we're coming to the end of the year and a lot of those funds we will not be able to maintain. So a lot of them get burned up at the end for things that you have to have in place. And then a lot of those bigger numbers are carryover, saving for trucks, water systems, so forth. Unless you borrow money from the state and they take off the top. I
agree. Best to just pay cash and not go into debt.
Amen.
Love it.
What a novel concept.
I know.
Reason I'm still standing through COVID.
think, that's kind of the overall big picture for fire fund. But I can see over the years, you know, they're budgeting more than they're actually spending, so they've really been increasing their cash balances over time, so. If there's no further discussion on that, we can move on to lodger's tax.
Do y'all have any further questions?
I'm good.
I apologize. Yes, sir. Move on.
All right, so zoom in a notch here. We are now on lodger's tax. Does include a budgeted position, which was the 50% of the one individual doing work in there. Currently, there is $20,000 excess revenues over expenditures. So there's opportunity to increase expenditures.
I'm sure it will occur.
Yeah.
I think I would just leave it as it is.
Yep.
Yep.
I can move forward to indigent. We have a increase here to safety net healthcare pool, which is intentional. And also slight increase to indigent claims.
The only thing is the county needs to look into, in my opinion, the Union County had did it where they got some kind of insurance for their flight for lives. Every time we get hit with those, we're getting hit with at least one a year at this rate. But if it increases, it's $100,000 a hit.
Yeah, there to that point, there was $100,000, like you said, cost that I think is not reflected in the actuals here. Between when I put together this spreadsheet and now, county did incur one of those very large hits. So.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Well,
Had one early.
that's something to explore, I think, for final. I think we can make that decision right now. But.
Yep. I have nothing further on indigent.
Yeah, either.
Add that to my notes for final. Higher excise tax. Just before I forget, on indigents, I'll note that the GRT allocation is insufficient to cover the current costs in that fund. Just for your knowledge, it's $145,000 short. And that is not included in the general fund deficit. That's special revenue.
Justin, take us real quick to the special revenue deficit. We didn't look at that earlier in the meeting.
Yes, I'll do that now. So, so we have currently a deficit of, well, it's 950, but 550 of that is from advanced funding for certain grants that were advanced funding, like ARPA and LG abatement, and the LATCF fund. So,
so in other words, sorry to jump in here. In other words, the county already received the cash, so
yes.
Now it's a matter of spending that cash.
Yes.
Okay, and then it looks like we have a repeater.
Yeah, so
that's,
I believe that's from the fire excise tax fund that we're looking at here next, and then 50,000 came from the 1% fund. So that's a net of 251,000 recurring deficit.
Okay.
And all of that comes from the fire fund, except for the amount in the indigent fund.
Okay,
And that's offset by some increases in other areas, so.
okay,
370 or so from fire, and then the 145 from indigent. And everything else is in balance.
okay.
Go
Very
ahead,
good.
Thomas.
Tom?
Thomas, hang on. I thought,
So moving back here to the fire excise tax.
Oh, just one moment, Justin. We have
Oh,
one
yes.
moment.
go ahead.
So as far as that repeater money, that shouldn't be showing as deficit anyway, because the balance of that excise fund is like 750,000 right now. That's not including anticipated revenue coming in the next year.
Yeah, I guess it's more of an accounting term. I mean, there is cash balance, but when we say deficit, we mean current revenue is less than the expenses, and so that means it's eating into the funds that are there.
So let me break that down. We have 300,000 projected GRT revenue, and then we have the county repeater costs, which is largely funded by temporarily reducing costs and other line items. But that we do still have 400,000 as the expenditure, so that's 100,000 difference between the 300,000 GRT and the 400,000 total. And I'm just considering that as non-recurring because most of it's coming from the county repeater right here. So.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that essentially we've been rolling over funds and not budgeting the entire amount from that excise. So that way we built up that fund to have the money now to expend.
Very wise.
Agreed. Thank you for the clarification. And so, and yes, this fund does have the cash balance for that.
Okay, so special revenue funds, it looks like we have covered all the reasons why revenues are less than expenses, so we're okay there. So then we're just still dealing with the general fund shortfall.
Yeah, so if I may, we can skip DWI potentially just because that one is in balance between revenues and expenditures are equal to each other currently.
Any changes on DWI? No.
Grants, thank you, Brad. The grant was 40,000. And so there was a few things that needed to be changed. The contract for the professional services, you guys have that at 21,000. It should be 22,000.
And what is the offset to that?
I'm sorry, what is that?
And so to tie to the grant amount, we would need to reduce another line item if we're going to increase that by funds.
You can take it from the training line item, I believe.
That's done. Thank you.
I think that's pretty much it. That's the only change that I noticed.
There's no other comments. I'll move to the solid waste fund. This is an enterprise fund. It's very close to imbalance. There's actually a higher revenues and expenditures currently budgeted by about $2,500.
I'd leave it.
It's pretty much the same as last year because we had done some bars to adjust it to kind of the actual expectations.
It looks like the budget's at 100% compared to last year.
Yes.
I do believe that there is an annual increase in the contract on that, but I don't remember what percentage that was. Do you, Si?
I don't recall.
We can look at that and adjust that at final, but there was a small there's a percentage increase.
We'll take note on.
But I will ask the commission later. We will get a solid waste, or we were supposed to get a solid waste update. There's some issues with Triadic and they've asked to wait till our next meeting. But there are significant people that are not been paying that are or late on their solid waste. And I was gonna request that the commission probably let us work with our attorney and move forward and putting liens on these properties.
Put down the note on the annual increase to look into that amount on the contract, and I think that would just offset with the operating transfer in amount, which has been reduced from the prior year. So, right, miscellaneous appropriations. We already took a look at that. So move on to the next tab.
Justin, just real quick, and Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, Remy would the same work as last year for your senior companions. Thank you. All right, Justin, thank you.
Then we have the law enforcement protection fund, which has, that reduces each year during the course of the grant. So we've reflected those reductions here. So there's really no opportunity to make changes. But yeah, it's the 25% in the one grant here. And then we do have the law enforcement protection fund, which we updated to the FY26 amount of 114,500 and budgeted that accordingly. So it's zero impact. If there's no further questions on that, I'll move on to the next tab. And these are all, mostly these funds will all need to be trued up at final to the FY26 amount as soon as these various grants release their information, usually sometime in June. So I don't think there's really any discussion here. I think on the YES program, I have some questions on salaries that'll probably need to be addressed between interim and final budgets. There have been some increases. I just want to kind of see the support on those amounts.
So just
yes,
just on that, it needs to reflect whatever's in the last contract.
Yeah.
That's what that's going to be. The only difference is the pay difference for Kristen, which was 400 a month from this last few months. So till we get
so
it.
That's there. Yeah, I think that is the one individual that had an increase that I've not confirmed that was per contract, as you say. So if you can confirm that, that's
it is confirmed.
Okay, thank you.
It was approved by the commission.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And we did reflect some comments, moving some of the salaries to the maternal child health care fund. An allocation was done to that. The NMDOT grant has not really been reconciled, so these numbers will change with final. Not aware of a current WIP grant. Those are usually small grants, but that can be reflected if that information becomes available. And then legislative appropriations, I have updated these amounts for the current balances as of 2 weeks ago. Some more grants on the next tab, largely federal grants. So we have ARPA, we've budgeted the remaining grant balance. Again, that might need to be trued up final. The LG, the Local Government Abatement Opioid Fund does have available cash balance, as we discussed earlier, that can be budgeted. LATCF budgeted their remaining grant balance as of 2 weeks ago. And for the MCMC Hospital Fund, I projected investment income based on prior year actual experience on those and budgeted the associated expenditure amount in that fund. So there's 40,000 available, which is an increase from 8,000 in the prior year. There is also excess cash balance of 213,000. So there's opportunity to spend more money out of this fund.
How much more?
So I already did increase it. That's a pretty substantial increase from 8,000 to 40,000. But whoever is in charge of this fund, I just want to make them aware, just because there's budget, you need to be aware that you're able to spend it, right? So, great. Capital improvements, I'd like to skip this if possible, because these will all need to be reconciled and updated with final.
Will those have a big impact on the budget since they're kind of passed through?
There's only temporary transfers budgeted, and I put it together in such a way that that does not impact the bottom line in the general fund.
Thank you.
All right, debt service matches exactly to the amortization schedules. I did fix some amounts that were off by small amounts in the past. And those come from the fire allotment funds primarily, and some small amount comes from GRT for the 2015 GRT bond fund. That's this amount right here, 439,000 in the current year for that amount. And lastly, we have airport, which has been more or less eliminated except for the rural air service grant, projected amount of 650,000 revenues and expenditures.
That's essentially a wash.
Yes.
Yeah. So Justin, just real quick, since we're on this, how much are the county saving by eliminating the airport?
Good question. So we had I think if you look at the operating transfers in, that really tells the true story here. So there's 80,000, 75,000, and then in the last year here, 228,000 in transfers. And I believe the increase here was due to the rural air service grant. So it's probably closer to these amounts, about 80,000 or so.
So we're saving it roughly just 80,000?
Without looking at it a little bit closer, you know, it's possible that you're also digging into cash balances in those years.
Thank you.
But yeah, about that. Well, that's it. I can go back to the summary tab here, see where things are landing for the general fund. So we were able to reduce that by about 100,000 from where we started. So there is still a substantial deficit. I don't think it doesn't necessarily need to be reduced to zero, but would you guys like to at this time go back over the vacant positions and discuss any of those, or table that for
So, Chairman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So of our 30% operating expenses, roughly speaking, we've cut 100,000.
Mhm.
Okay. And then
Two positions.
we eliminated,
I think it was more than that because we added back some costs in some other areas.
yeah. So I would like to, I guess, review the vacancies real quick. And then I would like to, after that, see how that change in the balance of the adjusted net change in general fund balance equates to departments. But after we look at the open position.
Give me a second to pull up that. Sorry, I don't want to share any sensitive information, so give me a second.
And then I'll share what my thoughts are to the rest of the commission after we kind of see that.
I do have two tabs here, just one with between the two, it's all the vacancies. So we have already removed indigent, one clerk's position, and just we're floating the potential idea of 2 or 3 detention positions. If it were
In the one road.
positions, it would be 95,000 plus another 69 for, I believe that would be a sergeant position.
Justin, didn't we take out at least some of these already?
Yeah, so
We took out the clerk
these ones
and
have been taken out already, but not these.
not the detention center yet.
Correct. And as Gordon was saying earlier, there are 9 open positions, 8 officers and 1 sergeant at the moment.
Right.
7 currently up there.
Was the one on roads taken off? I missed it.
Yes.
Was it? I missed it.
Absolutely.
Oh, Justin, yeah, I guess we need to move that one over.
I'll move this back over to
Yeah.
potential.
Thank you, Justin.
Perfect.
There are kind of grand totals of vacancies down here, just to show you. We've already eliminated, it looks like just under 200,000. And there are just under 900,000 in vacancies remaining after those.
So if we were to cut all vacancies, Ray would still,
No,
well, I'm just saying. We would still have a $500,000 deficit.
Right.
Let me just recap. Let me recap by department here. We have 1 in maintenance, 3 in sheriffs,
2.
2 in sheriffs. Thank you.
What
Some of these
happened
numbers were a
with,
little outdated, right, a couple weeks ago, but we
the
worked
sergeant-
on 7 in detention, now 9.
Hold on real quick, Justin, please. Commissioner Kerr and the sheriff, what were you guys mentioning?
Yeah, the sergeant position is not open on the sheriff's department. There's only 2.
I'll just delete that. Thank you.
And I'm not in favor of cutting them.
Okay. So the commission there. This is just me asking, you guys okay with those? You want to keep them open? Or reduce any of them?
Which ones?
What's on the screen? Including maintenance, sheriff, detention, and road.
Okay, we already cut one road.
We already cut 1 road.
We cut the road. I would maybe cut a couple from detention.
Warden, so what are you at then? If you were staffed at your numbers,
If we could fill the other one, but I think if we're gonna do that, I think we need to roll some of that into salaries, which is up for discussion today. anyway, so.
But that's gonna be, so I'll just tell the commission right now, my thought is whatever for the commission to decide here, what we take off, then we go back, allocate a percentage cut across the board from all departments. And then that would be a rough reduction in staff per department, so you're not gutting any department. And then with that, you would, at that point, as a commissioner, I would feel okay dipping into reserves, because that would balance our budget, dropping that cut. And then I would look to go into reserves to address any budgetary concerns as far as pay goes regarding critical services. Okay. That'd be my most logical thought behind that and where I was going on this. And if you do the percentage, so whatever our final number turns out to be from the 1.4, divide that by your percentage of general fund that department receives, and that percentage gets applied to the deficit. And then that is what needs to be cut. Either it turns into a part-time position, a full-time position, however it needs to be cut will be cut. Sorry, and then I lost track of where I was going with that. Sorry.
Are you suggesting creating part-time positions? Because we did away with them because of the incredible expense that they were.
Yeah.
Because you're paying full benefits on a part-time position. So we did away with it years ago.
Well, then, okay, so now I see where I was going now. So, well, then I was just saying, whether if you're the dollar amount you have to, the average, and I'm just throwing this number out there, I honestly don't know, but the average county employee expense is $65,000. So dividing that amongst our deficit there would tell us the number that we would need to cut from employees to get a balanced budget. But so with, oh, go ahead, Audrey.
Sorry, just to factor in here, Justin and I will probably need just maybe a little break to pull, because I see where you're going with this, to pull the numbers by department of what the percentage that they've already cut. And then the allocation percentage, I think we have that piece already, but we'll need to compare what they've already cut as of now to the suggested percentage. So I'm just saying we'll need like a little break to do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying we've already cut as much as we possibly could from our operating expenses. So there's nowhere else to necessarily cut.
Yeah.
I think we turn it in as it is as an interim and we figured this stuff out between now and final.
Well, we could still, the thing is, we're not going to be able to come up with $1.4 million in operating expense cuts.
No.
I think we should, that's just my thought would be do that percentage. And at least so we're just not kicking the ball down the road. And then, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is there should be some adjustments, but not big swings from the interim budget to the final budget.
Correct.
I know it's not pretty.
But I don't know that that's entirely fair because you've already got two departments giving up a position and now you're going to be turning around asking them to cut even more. So that's not right.
Yeah, so Commissioner, I think that's why Audrey was saying we need to add back the cuts that have already been made to give them kind of credit for the existing cuts.
And the commissioner or the county manager's office too will still have to cut. From that, I mean, they've given cuts, they will have to cut more.
I agree.
I'm just saying it's not going to be pretty to any department. So I guess what's the commission's desire amongst the remaining vacancies?
Okay, we cut one from the clerks already. We cut one from roads.
Well, what we have on the screen is what's remaining.
Yeah. One maintenance. You know,
Ward,
detention.
question, please. If you had to give up positions, could you function with 3 sergeants and the officers, or would it be easier to give up a officer position?
It's easier to give up an officer position. I did receive a call from, and this was a while back, from Clay Corn, asking if we had a supervisor on every shift. So
Okay.
I can't do without a supervisor, no.
And I think I knew the answer to that question, but I wanted everybody else to hear it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On the open positions. You give up 3 officers in the open position.
I understand where everyone's coming from. We just gotta also understand the more you cut, the more cost it's gonna cost you with overtime.
Yeah.
More people I'm gonna lose because they have to work as much overtime.
Yeah.
Like we don't close. We're open 24/7, so
Yeah.
and I understand, I'm not getting mad. We gotta
No.
realize that,
No.
yes, we do need the
I don't.
cuts, but you cut any more,
Let me ask you.
I'm already losing people.
No, I understand. What's your average vacancy? as
What do you
far
mean
as
average?
officers?
Usually probably around 3 or 4. Can go a little high sometimes, but just
So
like the one I spoke
consistently, we're out
to.
3.
Huh?
So consistently, we're always trying to hire for 3.
I would say that at least want to hire at least 5 more. Because I'm overworking my people. Like at this point, they're overworked.
I'm just thinking if there's an average vacancy that's consistent throughout the year, maybe we do eliminate like that position. Like if, let's say, if you consistently have 1 or 2 positions that are out all year, we could consistently determine that we will always be short 2 positions through the year. That would, to me, that would justify eliminating 2 positions if we're consistently trying to fill just with turnover, et cetera. And I'm unsure how the rest of the commission feels on that assumption.
Well, I think that's a safe assumption. If you said 2, and I would also propose taking the $40,000 from the MCMC Medical Interest Fund and putting that against either the salary for the nurse or for the medical contract.
Yep.
So I understand where you're coming from and respect that. However, that is a one-time use funds.
No, it's not. The interest fund is reoccurring.
The interest is, but if we pull to
I
fund,
didn't say,
I know, but if we pull the interest would go down in future years.
well, then balance whatever we're getting. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's variable, but you can't just slice staffing consistently. You gotta,
Yeah. And I want to look at this ambulance fund we've been sending out. I can't find any documentation on exact usage other than what was written in the resolution, and see if we can defer some costs from certain.
That's been Chairman Tatum, that's a yearly thing.
Yeah.
So if the commission chooses not to do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with doing what Commissioner Kern has stated as far as allocating any additional interest earned on that MCMC fund to the cost of the nurse in the,
Or just against the medical contract,
there you go.
whatever. It's,
Yeah,
Cause that's a service.
Mr. Chairman, you have.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
$40,000 for EMS service.
Yep.
I believe there were only two municipalities that used the money.
Yeah, Angel Fire and Redstone.
Probably that 200,000.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's what I was wanting to do if possible.
Well, that money is still shown in there as the balance. Yeah,
is there a clawback clause?
we'd have to look further at that, but I believe if it wasn't done within the fiscal year and documentation provided, then we could put it in front of the commission and just get rid of any prior that have not been submitted. Because it's been well over a year at this point.
Yeah.
Prior submission.
Cause you have to submit every year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to be a choice upon the commission.
Okay.
So back to those vacant remaining positions. I would say if we could consistently concur that we will always be trying to fill 2 vacant detention positions, or remove 2 vacant positions from the above remaining vacancies. Commissioners?
I'm fine with that. Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Which 2 should we leave? It sounds like at least
I'd say
one sergeant.
I'd say 1 sergeant and 1 officer.
So leave 1 sergeant and 1 officer, Justin, and then
I'll just take one sergeant and 1 officer out.
You only have one, Warden, you have 1 sergeant position open currently, is that right, ma'am? Right, so there's only 1 open sergeant position.
why are we showing so many vacancies then? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to catch up because there's 9 and then.
It was eight officer and 1 sergeant vacant.
Yeah.
And so are we leaving 2 or are we leaving 7?
7, leave 7.
There's only 7 amongst both tabs there for detention.
Mm-hmm.
2 of those vacancies are people who are leaving right now to go to the corrections department.
I think there are people that have left just already. Those do not anticipate the 2 that are leaving.
Well, there would be 11 vacant.
No,
That'll be 9.
there will be if
There
we
will
lose
be.
those 2. And if we lose 2 more, because they're talking about leaving as well, so. Possible 4, just to let you guys know, for corrections,
Gotta get that one done.
$26 an hour.
And so I think that I've heard the commissioners say that if they eliminated more of the vacancies, then that could possibly go to help the salary. I mean, that could be discussed later, but and we usually have, you're saying 2 or 3 vacancies, right? But we're gonna leave 7 on the books?
Yes.
Because we need to fill those to be operational.
Okay.
So I just want to be 100% clear here. So I'm removing 1 officer and 1 sergeant, or 2 officers?
2 officers.
Well, from what you have there, because I believe you have 2 sergeant positions open, correct, Justin?
Just the 1.
Okay,
So I'm gonna,
then 2 officer positions.
like that here. And I'll make those changes on the salary schedule and the budget so we can see where that lands, but there'll be $120,000 addition to
Can
the
you
bottom line.
update that formula, Justin, the 179?
I also sent, this is the warden, I also sent an updated staff roster so that the salary schedule could be updated correctly, because there's people on the salary schedule that shouldn't be on the salary schedule.
Yeah.
I sent one to Justin and one to Danielle.
I just got that this morning, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. Do you think it'll change the bottom line?
No.
No, because it's still the same
Same budget?
money coming out. Correct. Still the 33 positions, yes.
Thank you.
So Justin, so eliminating those, I guess, positions, how does that adjust the final deficit?
120.
Hmm,
I'm getting those changes in as we speak. So.
Thank you.
Is it 120? Sorry, I didn't catch it, Justin.
That's 120.
Yeah. Off of the 1.4.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, the math is a little bit more difficult because I have to back out some amounts here to get it to be accurate, but so you can bear with me. That's been updated, and we are now looking at 1.3. Approach the subject here of maintenance, I think is the one we haven't talked about as of yet.
We're not gonna fill it if we don't touch the pay anyways. If we touch,
Can you repeat that, Commissioner?
I was just making a statement out there stating that we're not gonna fill, I have a feeling we're not gonna fill any of those positions unless we increase pay.
So another situation of.
But re-increase the pay for those, and that's something that the commission will have to decide probably at a later date. And that's what I was stating, that maybe at that point, the rest that's remaining are essential. I mean, don't get me wrong, every department's essential. But these, we are competing with the state essentially for maintenance. So something will have to be done on the commission then to adjust for those. So the final. So where do we go from here?
I don't think I have any other areas that we haven't already looked at. So I think the current deficit was at 1.3. And, I think actuals will come in at some number less than that because not everyone always uses 100% of their budget, as we can see in previous years. It would be, obviously nice to have that number be lower.
Well, I think that the question is to the commissioners, where do we go from here?
And my recommendation it's the hard thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do as a fiscal steward of the county to make sure it goes within line to succeed for the long term. So my recommendation is to take this, work on this, apply that percentage cut to each department that comes from general fund, and then rework that as our interim budget, and we could vote on it in our regular meeting. And this way our interim, because there's no way that we could continuously keep pulling from reserves from this. We need to have reserves to adjust for instances like these, the sheriff, the jail, the roads, to increase these salaries to maintain those services. And we could pull from those, and we're still going to be running a deficit next year. It's going to take the county 20 years to adjust what's occurred over the last 5 regarding inflation. By the time it's going to take the county 20 years to adjust for property valuation taxes, what happened in the last 5 years. And that's just to get us to today's numbers. So we're 20 years behind. And that's why I'm saying we need these reserves. We have to have these reserves. That's all, and I handed it back over to my commissioners.
Well, I think I'm not going to disagree totally with what Commissioner Trujillo said. And I think that we do have a fiduciary responsibility, and we do also, there are certain priorities within that we have to maintain. And I believe that public safety, which includes roads, sheriff, detention center, those take priority. In the past, there were some things done, and I hate to continuously go back to previous administration and everything, but there was a hiring frenzy in 22, 23. And I think that's put us in a position where we're at right now. And I think it's not what this commission wants to do, but I think we're going to have to look hard at possibly more cuts. That being said, there are certain departments that are definitely, the salaries are too low, and I'm going to come right out and say it, and the jail is one of them. Currently our starting rate is probably $8 to $10 below any of the competition, and that's why we can't fill a damn position. So we're going to have to fix it, or else this lady's not going to have anybody left. And that puts whatever 5 staff she has in there at a huge risk. And I don't want that on my conscience. And I'm sure she doesn't either.
And then that's where, as a commissioner, I'm willing to dip into reserves at that point, but at least it's a manageable amount.
To a point. Yeah, I agree.
It's not manageable.
Okay, I think we're done for now. If you'll send us what you've got.
Well, would you guys be in agreements with that percentage cut? So they know what to work on?
I am, but I think you need to add back to those people,
Yeah.
those departments that have already, you know, that agreed to cut.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to ask them to cut again.
No, and that's what Audrey was talking about. Is that correct, Audrey? She was gonna give them credit for those departments that have cut.
Yeah.
Correct. For example, the clerk's office was great in just saying, you know what, we don't want to do it, but let's just cut this position out. And then they cut several of their line items already. So we need to take a look at the percentage, not counting the one-time expenditures like the capital, but you know, taking that out like Justin was doing earlier and seeing the change year over year and what the departments have already cut from last year. And then taking a look at that deficit and trying to spread it, like Commissioner Trujillo is saying, over the funds that receive general fund, you know, not the special revenues, which we already handled, but the general fund funds. And then my recommendation, which I think we talked briefly on at our first workshop, is really just the income side of the equation is so critical, because without knowing the income side, you really can't know the expense side. Well, now that we have estimates on the income side, you know, just it doesn't look too good, right? So long term, I think that's something that the county could look at. You know, there might be another eighth that would be a possibility of GRT. But basically anything on the income side would help greatly to help reduce any impact to the staffing. And then, yes, I would just add, you know, I spent 8 years on my local school board, and during that time, we were decreasing enrollment, and it was also during a time frame where oil and gas was hit, and so the SEG was hit really hard, and it was miserable. I mean, I know sitting in your place up there, it is so hard because you don't want to impact people's lives, and you don't want to impact your community, and you do want to give people raises, and you do want to treat people well, and you do want everybody to be fully staffed. And so it hurts. I mean, it's like cutting to the bone, basically. And we had to do that at our little school district year after year after year. And it was, like I said, it was not fun. We had to get pretty creative. There were even years where we did furloughs, we did all kinds of things, but I know the position in you're in, and it's not going to be easy for anyone as long as that income side is not going up. Then the expense side is just going to have to continue to decrease. So.
Thank you, Audrey. I do have 3 quick questions, or 1 question for 3 sections for the commission on what they choose. So Justin, do you mind pulling up that chart of where these would be allocated to, the cuts? Because I do want it to be clear to the commission.
I'll pull it up with just the caveat that, you know, as discussed, it has not incorporated the existing.
But you could just throw up the department if you want.
Isn't that what you sent us?
Does the commission want to cut senior centers, miscellaneous appropriations, and what's the other one? Probate. Those are my questions.
Cut probate.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's got nothing.
So then they need to be excluded from those cuts then. So probate would be excluded. Do we want to exclude
Probate.
senior centers and or miscellaneous appropriations?
I think let's review each one.
Well, at least, or if we exclude them, those percentages would be allocated against the other departments.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to give JAG a clearer picture on what to present to us during our meeting.
See, probate would currently.
And we can go ahead and cut the truck and the computers if we need to. We don't need them
And
this
those
year.
would
We can
be,
wait.
so those And
That's a one-time.
one-time expense.
Oh, okay, and
We're looking-
I am doing some other adjustments, so I'll send them to Justin.
I think at this stage, any further adjustments will have to go into the final budget.
Yeah.
And that,
Out there right now.
Well, I think we need to hear, well, we still have to get to the meeting portion of it, Justin, so let's not say that too quickly here. I'd like to get it as close as possible to what the budget is going to be, before we.
but at this point, the percentage cut would be indifferent of where she's gonna cut. In my opinion.
Sorry, what?
She said she still has more adjustments to make, but that could be within her percentage that she needs to cut, so.
I see, yeah.
And I know we have to start somewhere and everything, but you know, just because you got a bigger budget, I don't think it's fair that you necessarily you have to take the bigger cut because our public safety departments, the three I already mentioned, are our three biggest expense departments. And there's some places that I don't think you can just, I just think a flat percentage is unfair. But I know, I appreciate where you're coming from, Si, and I know we have to start somewhere and everything, you know, we got to get something turned in, but.
And this is where I'm saying we could do this and then the commission could go back in and dedicate a portion of reserves to come back in and, I mean, a portion of reserves to come back in and assist those departments that we need to. And I understand, I mean, those numbers are not exact, so. But, so does the commission want to do anything with senior centers?
Cut it 5%.
Well, no, I'm saying, do you want to exclude them or include them in the percentage cut?
This point include.
Okay, include miscellaneous appropriations. Include or exclude?
Include.
Okay, include. Everything else I think is library fund. That's nothing anyways, but you guys wanna, I don't think the Fred Macron Library has been requesting funds. So, okay.
Okay.
Then that stands as is, we will only exclude probate.
Okay.
And just to make it clear, I've already excluded county insurance because the numbers are the numbers. for
Yeah.
Insurance.
Okay.
So I can disseminate.
So this is a pro rata allocation.
Purely proportionate. The current numbers have not given credit for existing cuts, so that would have to be incorporated into this analysis. It's probably easiest just to base it off prior year budgeted expenditures and back out non-recurring expenditures and base it off those amounts. That way we're going back to where things were. And I can disseminate, I'll send to all the commissioners, this version of the interim budget schedule as well as the salary schedule and also just the vacancies list that we were looking at. So you'll have that available for you here soon when we get to the actual regular meeting.
So Justin, how much time do you think you would need to adjust to these changes so we could adjust our agenda schedule if needed?
I can do it in 15 minutes. I can do it before you probably get to that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send it as is right now, then I'll send a follow-up with those changes.
I'm fine just getting a full one.
Yeah.
I'll jump on that.
I think Justin, just give the adjusted one that you do.
Okay,
please.
I'll do that.
All right. Does everybody want a 5-minute break and we'll start the commission meeting, ending the budget hearing at whatever time, ma'am? 10:17. 5 minutes, we'll
Alfonso?